treat it as if it's a live show, even though we're taping. We can go back and chop out anything if something comes out that you don't want us to talk about, or that you say that you're like, oh,
off the record,
I shouldn't have said that. Yeah, we can always go back and chop it out.
Fine.
So, John, this is going to air after Ellen, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Now here's the thing. Your event's happening Saturday, right?
correct.
So this is going to air Saturday after your event's already started. There's no chance for somebody to sign up for it now, or is there?
No.
Or could they walk in?
What time on Saturday?
They could sign up on Saturday, but registration starts at 8 a.m., so it's highly unlikely that we're going to procure anybody from this to there, but that's fine. At least we run it 2 times a year, though, so if nothing else,
That's part of my interview question. So yeah, we'll cover that. That's cool. All right, cool.
We didn't go with Ellen.
You're saying there's a
Our
chance.
pace was good resets. Want to try and do that
the
again?
same?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
if you
thought
see
that was
us,
pretty good.
did you already explain that?
I didn't say. If you see me raising my hand,
And
just
I'll do
ignore
this,
me.
or
I'm a monkey back here trying to get his attention.
Okay.
We're gonna try and reset often that we're talking to you, so that people that just are tuning in are gonna be like, I don't know what I'm listening to right now. So,
All right.
because that happens
I'll try to
often.
follow along.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
Be hip to the game.
You ever see an episode of any crime stories where the prosecution puts their witness up on the stand and then goes adversarial on him,
Yeah.
goes after him? I might be doing that a little with you today.
Oh, great. Great. Perfect.
You'll be perfect for it. No, I just we're gonna talk a little bit about the CrossFit Open.
Sure.
And,
We got plenty to say about that.
I know
so.
you do. That's why I want to kind of come at it
All
that
right.
angle. Let's do it.
All right, cool. All right, welcome back. Good morning. It's Fitness Edge Radio here on Sports Radio 950 ESPN with me, Mike Danger. This and every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. talking with leaders from our community about health, fitness, and motivation to inspire you, the Fitness Edge Radio listener, to reach fitness goals that once seemed impossible. John H. is your host and also the owner of the Downtown Fitness Club. John Hutchings, fitness commentator in the Rochester area for the past 20 years. Who's up next on Fitness Edge Radio, John?
Mike Danger, we are talking with Anthony Ronchi. He is the owner of CrossFit Paradigm Performance. It's over on University Avenue. I don't have the exact address off the top of my head, but it's right near Best Volvo, right? It's
Correct.
a couple
Right
doors
up
down
the
from
street.
there.
Yeah.
How you doing today, Anthony?
Great. Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, we appreciate you coming on in today. We wanted to talk about your Festivus. Am I saying that right? Festivus?
Festivus for the rest of us.
Yeah, that's kind of an interesting name, but it's a CrossFit style event going on this morning over at Paradigm. So this is a CrossFit style competition for individuals who would be considered beginners or intermediate. It's not for like the best of the best, right? It's kind of
Absolutely.
like a platform to get people into the competitive side of CrossFit. Is that correct?
Yeah, I don't know if I'd say it's a platform to get them involved, but more so just a platform for, the rest of us to be able to showcase our interest in the competitive aspect. I mean, as CrossFit grows, it caters to the higher level athletes, so it's important for us to give the opportunity to, everybody else.
Now, this isn't a unique event. I mean, you didn't invent this event, right? Or
No.
did you invent it? I see that it's at CrossFit boxes around the country that you kind of participate jointly with other boxes. How did you find this, and how did you get involved with this event?
No, you're correct. It's actually a good friend of mine who owns CrossFit Relentless in Connecticut. Started the idea about, I think 3 years ago now. And he's talked a long time for the opportunity to branch it out, and we thought it was a nice opportunity because we believe largely in the rest of us category. So when he did go national with it 2 years ago now, we were one of the first ones to jump on board, and it was a large success. And I think people really appreciate the opportunity. So it's grown substantially since then. I think there's over 4,000 or 6,000 competitors involved this time.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a big event.
Yeah, it's a huge event.
Now, we're in the 9 o'clock hour right now, Saturday morning. Is there still time? I know registration started at 8 a.m. Is there still time if someone happens to be listening to Fitness Edge Radio right now, they can walk in and sign up and participate?
No, it's probably unlikely. You, however, can come check it out, see what's going on, and see what's going on, what we do there and the type of event it is. But we do have another event that comes up at the end of the year, which we'll announce later on. So if it's something that you're interested in, definitely come check it out, and we'll go then.
We're talking with Anthony Ronchi, the owner of CrossFit Paradigm Performance on University Avenue, Fitness Edge Radio on Sports Radio 950 ESPN. John H.
Well, you just answered my next question, which is there another event this year? So if someone wants to come over and watch it and just take it in, is it going to be going on all day? Is it pretty much an all-day event?
So far, the heat schedules seem to look like the event's going to go until about 5:30-ish p.m. So
Wow.
there's 124 competitors. So it's a pretty big event, and the events are pretty fast paced. So it'll be a constant relay of people. But yeah, it'll be all day long, nonstop action.
Wow, that's incredible. So people can come take it in and get amped up for the next time you roll out the announcement. Now, I hear you're a pretty competitive guy, and that Paradigm Performance has quite the team of athletes over there. I mean, you're assembling like a dream team of CrossFit athletes here in the Rochester area. Is there any truth to that rumor?
Here it goes. Yeah, I mean, largely when we assembled or created Paradigm a little over 3 years ago, the intention was to obviously be a CrossFit gym, but we intended to take high-level CrossFit athletes to the next level. And that's been a large focus for us for the last couple of years now. And I don't know if I'd say world domination, but yes, we're definitely interested in competing at the highest level.
I want to explore that with you. I want to take a brief break here. I'm going to break early in this segment because we want to get into the competitiveness that is Anthony Ronchi, owner of CrossFit Paradigm Performance, and we'll talk about your competitive streak when we come back after this on Fitness Edge Radio. I did that 4 minutes in. That was kind of quick.
That was 5 minutes. It's fine.
Cool. So nothing earth-shattering so far.
Groundbreaking. No.
All right.
Whenever you're ready. I'm going to reset my timer. I'm paying attention now. Whenever you're ready.
Welcome back to Fitness Edge Radio on Sports Radio 950 ESPN. I'm Mike Danger, joined by John Hutchings, owner of the Downtown Fitness Club and fitness commentator in the Rochester area for the past 20 years. You can join us here at Sports Radio 950 ESPN each and every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. as we try to inspire you, the Fitness Edge Radio listener, to reach fitness goals that once seemed impossible. Our guest this segment is Anthony Ronchi, owner of CrossFit Paradigm Performance over there on University Avenue near Best Volvo. John H.
Yes, when we went to break, we were going to come back and talk about the Paradigm Performance competitive team that Anthony's assembled over there. But let's explore your background a little bit before we get into that. Now, I understand you have a gymnast background. Your background's in the gymnastics arena. Tell us a little bit about that.
It is in the arena. I was never a competitive gymnast, or actually even a participating gymnast. In my category, those who can't do teach.
Okay.
And so a little over 10 years ago, I got involved in gymnastics, started teaching tumbling specifically. Really kind of absorbed my life. From there, that's kind of what segued me into CrossFit, and then now largely I'm involved with CrossFit and the CrossFit gymnastics side of things, and it's really kind of my background in terms of athleticism. It was really just about coaching for me.
Yeah, I remember bringing my daughter. I mean, she's 21 now, so she graduated 3 years ago, so it had to be at least 4 or 5 years ago over for tumbling practice at a gym that you're associated with over
Correct.
there behind Hot Shots on University.
Yep, that was the old location, and then we moved down the street, literally only one block to where we're at now, about 5 years ago.
Now, did you used to attend like sectionals over at the Blue Cross Arena as a consultant to some of these cheerleading teams? Because it gets pretty intense.
Yeah, cheerleading is definitely, it's intense. Yes, I've attended, I think, pretty much every avenue or venue for competitive cheerleading in the last, really about 8 years. And then the last 3 years, it's really been kind of a segue back into CrossFit, not so much in the cheerleading side, but definitely still attend some of the national and regional level competitions.
Well, it seems like you were kind of made for CrossFit, or maybe CrossFit was made for you, because Greg Glassman, that's his background, and like he's a gymnastics guy, and so there's a lot of those elements that you've been coaching for years incorporated into the sport of CrossFit. So it seemed like it was a natural transition or a natural fit for you.
Right, well, CrossFit largely is built on really 3 main principles, and that's, weightlifting, gymnastics, and, single modality or metabolic conditioning, running, rowing, etc. So having a background in one of the main principles of CrossFit does definitely have its advantages when becoming a coach, but that's one of the reasons that I'm on the staff for CrossFit HQ and traveling around and get to help develop other coaches. It's just to try to bring that background to some of those people who didn't have that opportunity.
Sure. So you're actually on the staff of CrossFit HQ. How'd that come about?
Opportunity, basically being around. When you've been a CrossFitter for 8 years, you kind of know people. You've been there. You've seen it kind of go through everything it's gone through, and it's just again, having the background was kind of advantageous to me and to them. So I only work with the gymnastics side. I don't actually have a part in the level 1 training. I only really teach the CrossFit gymnastics seminars. But that's really only been the last few months that has absorbed my time, but it's been a pretty good opportunity.
Now, do you feel your coaching background in gymnastics gives your team an edge? Do you feel like the gymnastics portion is what holds a lot of CrossFitters back? Because, you can see guys and girls lifting tons of weight, and you can always get in better shape from a metabolic conditioning standpoint just by doing more or more intense workouts. But gymnastics is a skill set.
Correct.
It seems like that is the missing element in a lot of these competitors' portfolio, if you will. Do you feel like that gives you an edge?
I think if anything gives me the edge, it's my history in coaching more than anything, being able to develop athletes in different avenues. So that more than really even my athletic background or my coaching specific background does. But yes, being able to coach the high level gymnastics elements is an advantage for me.
Talking to Anthony Ronchi, owner of CrossFit Paradigm Performance on Fitness Edge Radio, Sports Radio 950 ESPN. You can find CrossFit Paradigm Performance over on University Avenue in Rochester, right over there by Best Volvo. John H.
Now, Alexa Mina, I believe she was one of your clients as a cheerleader, as a competitive cheerleader, and she crossed over into the CrossFit realm. We featured her along with Gary Jones on one of our CrossFit Young Guns segment.
Yep.
And she started out training with you, and I think she's over at Boomtown now. But Gary is one of the stalwarts on your team over there at Paradigm.
Gary's the anchor, yes.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of pegged him here, not that we were going out on a limb. The guy is on Facebook and other social media cleaning and jerking 350 some odd pounds. I mean,
85.
the guy is a phenom. Let's segue into your competitive team. So
Sure.
if Gary's the anchor, you've got a couple other guys over there, Chris
Martinez.
Chris Martinez.
He's definitely the engine.
You got Matthew Higgins, right?
He would definitely probably be the anchor as well.
Yeah, he seems like he's a pretty strong guy.
He's a monster.
I've met him in person too. He is like a true mountain man.
Oh man,
He is just like came out of I don't know where. He's got that beard. I think on his Facebook page he's eating a raw fish or
he's
something
cut from
like
a
that.
different cloth, and it's a
Yeah, he's a different
awesome
dude.
piece of
Yeah,
cloth.
he was in the 82nd Airborne.
Yeah.
He spent a couple years in Afghanistan. He jumped out of planes, and I mean, he's just a different dude. You got some real machines over there.
Yeah, we think
talk
so.
about your team a little bit.
Well, the intention for us really was to develop a few multifaceted athletes, of course, but really to kind of assemble, I don't want to say a super team, but a team that's well-rounded. So no matter what the task that was going to be thrown at the team, they'd be adept at the task at hand. Also, we want people to be able to compete individually. So you're only really as good as the people that you train with. So having a large collection of people with different talents and different skill sets really kind of forces the off-kilter athlete to get better at those things. Gary, not being a gymnast by any stretch, has been forced really to keep up in the gym. He's had to get a lot better at his gymnastics. You know, people like Kayla, who's certainly not a gymnast either. She's just strong. She's had to get better at all of the body weight stuff and her, her long metabolic conditioning pieces.
And that's Caleb Pitts?
Caleb Pitts, yep.
Yep.
And you got people like Chris, who has a phenomenal engine, but he's not the strongest kid, has put on a ton of weight and a ton of strength just to keep up with people like Gary, who unfortunately smashes your ego on every single clean and jerk day.
Oh, absolutely.
Then he just hit his personal record this week too, I think, on something I saw on Facebook.
365 in the clean and jerk, and then he cleaned 385. Just go ahead and pick up somebody's deadlift, man.
No big deal.
No.
Yeah,
No.
just another day down there at Paradigm Performance. Well, as a competitive guy who's assembled all these, top-notch athletes, I consider myself competitive.
Mhm.
We hate losing or falling short. But that's kind of what happened this year in the Open qualifier. Gary, I thought he would just smash it and go cruise right through to regionals, and he fell short. I think he was the local guy that got the closest.
Yeah.
What did he finish, like 67th or something?
67th, yeah.
67th. What are your feelings about the Open this year? Let's talk a little bit about that. I mean, do you feel like it was a fair test? Do you feel like maybe you weren't quite as prepared? Talk a little bit about that, if you would, Anthony.
I knew this was coming, but no, actually, in fairness to everybody that competed, I'm upset. I'm not gonna pull any punches. We're not happy with where we placed or how anybody individually did. But that being said, we are extremely happy with the way the events were ran and really the test of fitness. I think it's important to remember that the Open is as much as it's touted to be about the community at large and bringing everybody together, its intention at the end of the day is to find the fittest. And I think this year honestly was one of the best programmed opens, and unfortunately for athletes and coaches like myself, we were a little bit unprepared in the fact that for the last 3 years it's really been the same things over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of knew largely what to accept, and Dave Castro did a great job this year of kind of putting all of us on our heels a little bit.
Sure.
The events were still largely similar, but the modalities and basically the methodology behind it was a little bit different, especially putting in a time component, or a task priority workout. Really kind of changed things up. So we're not happy about it. I don't think anybody is largely that happy about it.
Sure.
In the area at least. So our intention is to really take what we learned from that, and we've had a lot of athlete meetings since then. We've really kind of changed pretty much everything about the team training template, and largely now there'll be some big changes moving forward in every avenue. So there's going to be lots more competitive opportunity for the athletes, and there'll be just lots more time spent on their weaknesses than there was.
You're very involved in your athletes' training. I mean, to the point where, if a local competition comes up and you don't feel like that is in their best interest in where they are with their training, you say, no, don't do that competition. I mean, your guys could probably go out, and girls could go out and win most of these competitions, but you say, no, that's not in your best interest.
Sure. I mean, I wouldn't say that they go out and win every local competition, but their training program is very, very specific. I mean, every single mesocycle and microcycle is monitored by me. It's important for me to remember that I know what's best for them and to maintain that site while they just work on training. So I take that very seriously, and it's not that we don't try to support and try to get them into as many local competitions as possible, but a lot of times their program doesn't allow for it. It doesn't allow for the recovery that's required from a local competition. It doesn't allow for the exposure to whatever odd object might be thrown at them in that competition, and largely it just doesn't cater to them when they've got another event coming up. And unfortunately, we can't change the schedules of local competitions, so we do kind of get a lot of flack about not being there as much as possible. We're trying to get into as many of them as possible. We got a few people doing the Catalyst Games, which are coming up.
Right.
And then
we're a sponsor of that. That's going to be a
Yeah.
great event.
Yeah.
I think there's over 300 people.
Yeah, Chad and Melissa did a great job organizing that, and we want to support it as much as possible. And I think the timing of that competition is very different. When the competitions fall like right before the Open, in close to the Open, it's really hard for me to say, sure, go ahead, put yourself at that level.
Right. Yeah, I mean, do you want to use this platform here on Fitness Edge Radio just to tell all the box owners, just to give you a call before they schedule anything going forward, so you can work it into your training?
Sure, I would love to be involved in the correspondence, but I'm not going to be that picky. I think largely we know anyways. It's just a matter of we'll never have the time.
Anthony Ronchi of CrossFit Paradigm Performance over on University Avenue in Rochester is our guest today on Sports Radio 950 ESPN. This is Fitness Edge Radio.
Now, just before I leave it here, the Open, do you feel like it was one workout in particular of the 5 that really, derailed your athletes, or was it just a general, like you said, different modalities or different skills were valued over the traditional strength and other components that we saw the last 3 years? What do you feel was the linchpin there?
Well, that's a pretty broad. I mean, in terms of all of my athletes, if I factor all of them, it's different. It's a different answer for all of them. Kayla, yes, absolutely. Look at the scoreboard. You can see one event that sticks out like a sore thumb. Otherwise, she'd have placed in the top 20. And she knows that, and she knows what she needs to work on. As far as Gary goes, Gary knows that the Open is always going to be his nemesis. It doesn't cater to him. It's always light. It's never very technical. It's just grind and grind and grind, and that's not where he excels as an athlete. So he's working on that specifically. And then largely I think that just the change up in methods and in the modalities that were involved were largely, I want to say discriminatory, but definitely intrusive to some of them. So I think that in general we did exactly how we should have done.
Now, do you feel, and you're part of, CrossFit HQ, so obviously you're not going to say anything out of line with their philosophy, or maybe you are. Do you feel, the game started in 2007,
Mm-hmm.
the names that are at the top of the leaderboard continue to stay at the top of the leaderboard regardless of the amount of high-quality athletes being attracted to the sport. You would think that over time, some of those guys would be displaced. Do you feel like there is some sort of conspiracy going on to kind of foster these names, to push those names forth? Because CrossFit has a vested interest in the Rich Fronings of the world and the Annie Thorsdatters being on top of the list. Do you feel that that's part of it?
No,
Or
I
is
don't
that just
think
me
so.
going conspiracy theory?
I think everybody generally likes to go conspiracy theory, especially when you see such a common pattern. And I think it's largely it's quite obvious that, the top athletes are always the top. But I think what we've seen in the last few years is that despite being a sport that specializes and not specializing, it is certainly a special sport, meaning that CrossFitters only excel by having CrossFit experience, meaning just constant exposure to constant competition and training at that level. So I think that those people sit at the top because they're used to being at the top. They've done the work that, yes, there's lots of high-level athletes that you will see, I think, in the near future get to that point, but they just don't have the experience in all the randomized movements and all the constantly changing, scenarios and lengths and things like that. So as their bodies adjust, that takes time.
Well, you see it or hear it from commentators in other sports such as football and basketball, where teams are right there knocking at the door, but they just weren't ready to make that final jump to win the championship. So much of it is psychological. It's the mental aspect. Do you feel like people don't beat Rich Froning because they don't honestly believe they can beat Rich Froning?
Well, this sport is honestly a recovery sport, so anybody that chooses to view it otherwise is wrong. What I mean by that is that the top athletes who excel at the top level have excelled or mastered their ability to recover.
Mm-hmm.
And what you see from a lot of specific athletes that come in, Division I athletes, football athletes, things like that come over, they're really good at what their training background has allowed them to be good at, but they're not necessarily good at going for 3 or 4 or 5 days, because let's be honest, the football game is Friday night, it's over.
Sure.
It's 2 or 3 hours. And
15 seconds burst at a time with 60 seconds rest.
And Gary's a perfect example of that, where he's got a great Division I track background, and his training was very specific on developing power and explosiveness. But at the same time, he's not very good at aerobic based or longer based events. More specifically, he's not good at events that go 3 or 4 or 5 days, because his body's it's really good at going hard for one day and then we need to recover. So for us, largely what we focus on, I think what a lot of the higher level athletes focus on, is your ability to work and recover. Those
Makes
people,
sense.
They're the ones that do the best at the highest level. Rich Froning, he doesn't win because he's better than anybody. He wins because he can keep winning. He's always the top 3, 4, or 5. He's never always first, but he's always there on the first day and then again on the 5th.
We're talking with Anthony Ronchi, owner of CrossFit Paradigm Performance on Sports Radio 950 ESPN. You're listening to Fitness Edge Radio with me, Mike Danger, and John Hutchings. John H. of the Downtown Fitness Club, your host. You can find CrossFit Paradigm Performance over on University Avenue near Best Volvo.
I'm just going to wrap up here. We're going to take a few minutes to recap where we can find you and website and all that stuff. But I just want to kind of throw an open-ended question kind of to wrap up what we've been talking about here. Are CrossFit athletes, in fact, the best athletes in the world?
What a Pandora's box that one is. Yeah, I would say in terms of our definition of fitness and athleticism, then yeah, they are definitely the most skilled at the most tasks without being specific of anything. However, obviously put us in a sport-specific arena, no, we're not going to excel. Don't put us in a football game, don't put us there, but vice versa, take one athlete from each one of those arenas and put them in the games, and then vice versa, let's see who does the best across those
What sport do you think comes closest to it? Is it rugby? What sport even comes close to CrossFit that you could take an athlete out of that arena, put them in CrossFit, and they'd have a chance to excel? Swimming? I don't know. I'm hard-pressed to find one.
Typically speaking, I think the athletes you see the biggest crossover with are some high-level gymnasts, especially for females.
Mm-hmm.
They seem to have the best crossover because they've experienced the high-level skill sets, and they're used to training 4, 5, 6, 8 hours a day.
Hence Alexa Mina.
Yeah, and then at the same time, you've got, I think, track and field athletes for men, because they're used to training multiple different modalities, different sports, different, you never really just run the 400 meter, you're always jumping, running, etc. But, I don't know as though one sport carries over the best. You got Rich Froning as a baseball player, you got, people who are football players, and everybody seems to fill where they need to fill in terms of what they do for their training. So I don't know if one's better than the other.
But generally speaking, CrossFit athletes are the best athletes in the world.
I give them credit, I'm a little biased.
All right, you heard it right here from Anthony Ronchi of CrossFit Paradigm Performance. We've been visiting it with him this morning. It's Saturday morning. It's April 19th. Is that the date on it?
Yep.
Sarah, we can edit this. It's Saturday morning, April 19th, and the Festivus games are going on over there at CrossFit Paradigm Performance. Registration started at 8 o'clock, but if you want to go see what it's all about, stop in over at University Ave. We're going to give Anthony about 30 seconds to tell us how to find his gym, and take it from here, Anthony. Let's
Find us on the website. It's the easiest place to find us, www.paradigm-fitness.com, or you can find us right at our doorstep, 1344 University Ave. Anybody's welcome. 585-355-0850 is the phone number.
Perfect. Anthony Ronchi, thanks for being on Fitness Edge Radio today. Come back anytime.
No problem. Thanks for having me, guys.
I'm going to turn it over to Mike Danger to take us out, like he always does.
Thanks again to Anthony Ronchi of CrossFit Paradigm Performance on University Avenue near Best Volvo in Rochester. Also a big thanks to Ellen Brenner, who joined us earlier on Fitness Edge Radio. It is Fitness Edge Radio, a show created to push you past your previous limits to achieve fitness goals that you once thought were impossible. With me, Mike Danger, and our host, John H. Every Saturday morning, you can hear us right here, 9 a.m. on Sports Radio 950 ESPN. If you'd like more, or if you'd like to be a guest on Fitness Edge Radio, find us on Facebook or contact us via our website, fitnessedgeradio.com. You can also listen to our library of podcasts there and hear what's happening in the world of fitness right here in Rochester, New York. It's been our pleasure and privilege to have you listening today on Fitness Edge Radio. Have a great weekend, and remember, life's tough. Get fit.
Word. Nice job by you.
Oh, thanks, guys.
You're a natural.
Oh, I speak for a living, so it's kind of easy.
Yeah,
All over
you just
the
kind
place,
of
man.
you just kind of translate. So you're standing up. You're the guy doing CrossFit gymnastics certifications.
Mm-hmm.
Are there a lot of people getting that certification locally?
So far this year, in the first quarter alone, there was 1,072 people.
In Rochester?
No,
Or
in
just-
Rochester, I think we've almost certified every coach in the city. We host the seminar 2 to 3 times every year at our gym. Obviously, we're pretty well equipped for it, but yeah. So I think, if I can remember correctly, almost everybody that I know that coaches has come through the door for one of the specialty seminars. We do the endurance, we do gymnastics, we do a few different ones every so often, about every month, every 2 months.
That's very cool that you got. Did you apply for that job, or they just reach out to you? Were you talking to somebody?
The founder, the
somebody?
director of CrossFit Gymnastics, Jeff Tucker, he's kind of my mentor. He's largely been responsible for me being, the coach that I am. So he's bugged me for years. 3 years ago, I started with him, teaching them, but I got so busy when the gym opened that I couldn't do them anymore. And then this year, they doubled the amount of seminars they were teaching, so he brought me back on as a lead coach. So now I get to travel around the world doing that, which has been kind of cool at the same time. Really, all that means is I get stuck in airports all the time.
Right.
But, so it's...
Are you a single guy, married guy?
Yeah, I'm single.
So see that if you're gonna
yeah,
get
it
stuck
works,
in
right?
airports, you might as well do it
Yeah,
as
exactly.
a single
So
guy, right?
had I been married with kids, it'd probably be more cumbersome. But
Oh, it definitely would be. That's what I was kind of noting a couple weeks ago. I was talking with someone like, I don't know many CrossFit box owners that have kids.
no, well,
A lot of them are either single or married with no kids.
Rochester's just got a weird market, anyways. In general, I think most people that I know, I don't know if they have kids per se, but I know most of them are married, and a lot of them have families. But here it's a little different. The whole Rochester market's very different anyway than anywhere else that I've been to. So
Is it?
it's a large. I don't want to say it's a younger affiliate ownership here, but we're split in half. Obviously Chad and Melissa and myself are on the younger side, and Joe and Jeff are on the older side of things. Joe and I are almost the same age, but
Right, you guys are the transitional pieces there.
yeah. We're kind
Jeff's
of
the old man
We're the
of
purgatory.
CrossFit.
Yeah.
Although Gina Nicolosi's not that young. She's a grandmother for crying out loud.
Yeah, I always forget how many affiliates there are in the city.
I know.
There's so
You-
many of
you
them.
start thinking about it, you
Largely,
forget
I
all
think
the
it's a
time.
great thing. Some people get caught up and they're like, there's too many of them, or I'll jack for the same piece of the pie. But it's really not that.
I think they each can fill its niche. I mean, you obviously have something. I mean, if anyone's close to trying to do what you're doing, it's Park Avenue, right? They're trying to do what you're doing.
They took they kind of took our business model a little bit, and largely just my ex-girlfriend. Just kidding, she is, but but they basically kind of assembled all of each other, and instead of coming to a gym to be coached, they decided that they would just all get together and kind of try to create their own gym. And I think that you know, that they definitely have the same model. They just, the only thing they don't have is coaching.
Right.
That's the, you know, that's the one
They have
thing.
athletes.
Yeah, that's one thing that's gonna always be their limitation, is that my athletes have a coach, whereas they don't get to train, like, they're all training with each other, so that's kind of been good, but we created all of ours, right?
Yeah.
And that's, I don't wanna say anything, I'm not saying anything bad about Park Ave, they just took 4 or 5 people and assembled them all together,
Well,
they've done great.
they rubbed several people in the business the wrong way, by the
Well,
way.
yeah,
they
you're
went
gonna,
about it.
anybody that does something like that makes that big a wave, you're gonna piss somebody off, somebody's
Right.
gonna get wet. You know, and then that's basically what happened, and I don't have anything bad to say about Brendan and Carla, I mean, I think that they did a good, they knew what they needed to do.
Sure.
You know, what was best for them, but, you know, it's, obviously, when you create an opportunity, people are gonna see that opportunity, and they're gonna jump on it, and then somebody's pissed off, but.
What do you think about Adam Henby